Hey guys, it's Mitch from Switchback LED Lighting here with a new video today. Today I've got a set of VF Commodore headlights. These are just aftermarket ones online from a company in Melbourne. So today this is part of a series, I guess, where we modify the headlights. We show you how to do it at home, basically, as I am now. So that's literally what you get with your headlight. We've got our bit of plastic on the bottom. This helps hold the bumper in on the car. So before we go modifying these and putting them in the oven to split the lens off, we're actually going to have to take this plastic bit off. So I've got 3 Phillips screws here, so you'll need a Phillips head screwdriver, obviously. We'll take those off. And these won't be going back on until the headlights are finished, pretty much. So this particular set of headlights, the customer is after a quad projector setup. He's after the housing blacked out, and we're going to be installing some chasing halos as well. So it should turn out good. So all the screws are out. I'm going to lift up at the back, as you can see here, and slide it forward. They actually hook on, bits of plastic actually hook on here, these little plastic nubs. So we won't need these until the headlights are finished and go back together. So basically in this part of the video, I'm just going to show you how to split the headlights themselves. That normally takes long enough, so I'm going to probably split it up into 2 or 3 videos on modifying them. So this will be purely just taking the lens off. These aren't fun compared to the other Commodores, where you put them in the oven, the glue heats up and they pull apart. These are a lot harder because they use a sealant in them called Permaseal. This basically is a heat resistant seal that manufacturers like to use to make it harder to get into headlights. But I'm going to be showing you how to get into that today. Tools, flip the camera down here. Tools, I've got a little flathead screwdriver. Probably can't see it very well. I've got 2 flathead screwdrivers, relatively the same size. We've got the Phillips as we just used, and I've actually got these new tools. These are actually Permaseal removal tools. So they've actually got, we'll see whether you can see, they actually a hook on them, and they're just sort of a screwdriver type thing. So this pretty much, once we get all the glue at the top sort of separated, we hook this in and just pull it along. So I haven't used these before, so I don't know how good they are, whether they work, but we'll soon see. So I've got a variety of these. I can get these, so if anyone wants any, hit me up. And I've got a Stanley knife. Usually I don't use Stanley knives, but sometimes I do as well. Sometimes some are more difficult than others. So after taking that bottom piece off, the next screw we need to take out is one single screw. I'll try and get it on camera. It's on the indicator side of the headlight. So if we look at the headlight itself, the indicator's here. So on the indicator side of the headlight, it's just a Phillips screw again. So we'll grab our Phillips screwdriver. And you want to take this screw out before you put the headlights in the oven. So put these down and take that out. They're usually pretty hard to get these out because they do normally go into the Permaseal. So this screw actually is on obviously the other side and pulls the lens closed. So we won't put that in until they're all sealed up and finished. For these, we're going to leave the caps on. I leave the caps on because sometimes in the oven, you take these out, this shape changes, you can't get these back in. So if they all heat up at the same time, if the cap and the housing heats up at the same time, normally you don't have any dramas. If you're doing this to your actual headlights, the only set you have, you want to take all your globes out. So your indicator, parker, low beam and high beam. Everything else is relatively straightforward, so they're ready to go in the oven. Come over to the oven. Come over to the oven. I've just got a standard oven. It's pretty small. Normally I'll take the trays out and preheat to 120 degrees Celsius, and that's fan forced as well. So we're going to go 120. I'm going to put the fan on, and while I'm down here I'll take these trays out. Obviously we can't use trays while the headlights are in there, otherwise we won't be able to get them in. So normally take them out when they're cold as well, not after you've heated the oven up, because that's always fun. But these are a tight fit. The headlights in these, let that heat up. These are a tight fit. They tend to struggle to fit VF headlights, but they do. That's a standard size oven. I think they're 900 wide, pretty sure. Normally the VF headlights go in diagonally anyway. One thing to note, keep the lens away from touching anything while they're getting heated up, otherwise you're going to have defects in the lens. So once that's heated up and up to temperature, I'll be setting a timer on my phone, and the timer will be roughly 15 minutes at 120 degrees fan force. We'll pull it back out. I've got a sort of a second hand, it's a board that I use for these headlights. As you can see, it's got all glue and whatnot on it. So put that on your bench if you're using that, just so you don't melt through the bench, because the metal on these mounts do get hot after being in the oven. And we're going to work on the first headlight. I'll do the first headlight on camera. I'll probably time lapse it because it is quite a long process, but I'll run through what I'll do first. So you've got this ridge here. I might just zoom in here so you guys can see it. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I've got these little clips, I guess. These will be bent out of the way when it's warm. When ABS plastic is warm, it's more flexible. Right now, if you bent these out of the way, you'd probably break the plastic. So the plan is, we're just gonna stick our flathead screwdriver in and underneath here and work the top open. And pretty much, normally I make my way around the whole headlight. I try and stay away from, I'll zoom you back out. I try and stay away from this edge, only because when you pry it while it's warm, this edge can crack. And it's not a big deal, because when we seal them back up, we fix that. But just something to note, I try to stay away from that end. I try to do the rest of the headlight first, the top and the bottom, and then get this side off, and then we're pretty good. So when the oven gets to temperature, we will get back and I'll pretty much show I'll put it in the oven obviously and show you how I put it in this oven, because it is a small oven. And after that, we'll wait out 14 minutes, we'll pull it out and we'll get back to you then. We'll catch you then. Okay, our oven is up to temperature now. How do I know that? There's a red indicator light. I'll turn the temperature up and the light will go on, turn it back down and it's off. So as I said, 120 degrees Celsius for 14 to 15 minutes. Normally for VF headlights, VE headlights only need 10 minutes at 120 degrees and they pretty much fall apart. This is pretty different, so open air oven. I normally pop these in this way. Pretty much like this. Try to make sure that nothing's touching and shut the door. Try to make sure that nothing's touching the lens, otherwise we have problems. But that's going. The lights turned back on obviously because I had the door open. So we'll check back in 14-15 minutes and see where we stand with these headlights. Okay, has been 15 minutes. I'm just about to get the headlight out of the oven. I've got gloves on. Forgot to mention you need gloves. Alright, let's get this out of the oven. And here he is out of the oven. I can feel the plastic's pretty soft. So as I said before, I'm going to work around the top, which is actually, in these aftermarket headlights, is not too bad at all. So working around the top with our screwdriver. There's a little bit of stuff here. So all I'm going to do is start from the middle, and you can actually see putting your hand back there. Don't worry about this stuff, this can be fixed after it. So if you crease the plastic, I wouldn't stress about it. Anyway, at the moment, try and get it in there and actually try and get it out like that. This is actually feels a lot easier than the genuine ones this time. Each headlight is different though. So we'll keep working away at it. Hopefully you can see pretty well. So pretty much got that through. So I'm going to use this new tool. Probably on this side. I'm going to pop him in over there. And that's cool. So there must be a right-handed one as well. To do the other side, I'm going to pop it in over the top there. So this is part we haven't got to yet. Cool, perma's coming right off. This is actually, just going to run along with the, normally the permaseal will get stuck on the lens too, which is actually a good thing. It's easier to get off the lens. So this is why I said about the Stanley knife. Sometimes the only thing that'll get into them is using a Stanley knife. So I'm up to this edge. I don't really want to go much further than I have at the moment. So I'm just going to go basically up to there. I'm trying to work as quick as I can pulling these apart, because once it cools down, the plastic gets brittle again. You can actually tell because it's a lot harder to get the headlights apart when the plastic is cooled. Now that I've got a little bit of grip on it, this is actually a lot easier than it normally is for some reason. I've used these aftermarket headlights before and it's not usually this easy. So at this point, I'm going to flip the headlight over and get to our next little clip. Usually this is what's keeping it from going further. So I'm just going to wiggle around the top bit. It feels as if it's very similar bottom. So I'm going to go with the open bit of the join. I can tell it's starting to cool now because it's getting a little bit harder, but that could be because of the glue as well. So we might need to pop him back in the oven shortly. I normally go another 5 or 6 minutes once it's cooled. Keep prying at the bottom here. See if we can get any movement to it. More perma. Cool. So I'm just, before I put it back in the oven, just going to run along the top again. I can feel it's cooling down because it's getting harder to move the plastic. So up here it's actually pretty hard to move plastic. So I'd probably go around up to here. I don't know whether you can see up to this point here with the prying. Only because once you've got the rest of this away from the housing, which we're getting closer to, I'm going to pop this right in the oven again. As you can see, our top is coming apart quite easily. So I'm going to pop that back in the oven, warm the glue up again, and that's cool. So it's back in the oven. I'll just talk to you for a second. So that light was actually came apart quite easily. This is a good idea. I like these a lot. I like these a lot, especially because there's a left side and a right side that turn in the opposite directions. Don't know whether you can see that or not. This one's very handy, putting it around the lens, pulling it through. So this is the stuff. This is a bit of permaseal here, which is cooled. It's glue, it's flexible glue. It's also heat resistant. So the only thing the oven is doing at the moment is heating up the plastic. Well, obviously it's heating up the glue as well, but it actually helps it come apart from the body of the headlight easier. I'll run through something quickly that I didn't mention before. Down here, I've got these clamps. They're just spring-loaded clamps. You can get them at auto stores, super cheap, shops like that. This is for those marks I was telling you about. When you're, I'll use the other headlight as an example. When you're pushing your screwdriver in there and pushing up on it to pry it away, it does put a mark and stretch the plastic in that spot. So once we get the lens separated from the body, I'll put these clamps on the body essentially until it cools down, and it pretty much will hold its shape, hold its standard shape rather than have those parts on it. So I'll normally, sometimes it depends how warm the headlight is. Sometimes I'll put the body back in the oven to get the ABS black plastic warm, and then put these on to hold the channel together as it'll be pried apart from the screwdriver. Alright, I'll give it a couple of more minutes in the oven and then we'll pull it back out, and I think we should be able to get these apart. Sometimes it'll take 3 or 4 shots in the oven depending on the headlight. Genuine sometimes fall apart, which is good. It means you can just pull it open pretty much. Aftermarket normally are harder than this, but that's good. That's good. Alright, we'll be back in a second and we'll split these headlights. Alright, we're back. It's been probably 7 minutes, but get a view back down here and I'll get it out of the oven. So I can feel that it's been long enough when the whole body's flexible. So I'm at the moment going to flip him back over because that's where I was working on, and it should come apart pretty easily. Just make sure you get these little nubs out of the way. Now that I know sort of how these headlights are reacting, I sort of know how long it sort of needed in the oven. Now this is a bit awkward, this position I'm in now, but pretty much I'm just literally, I'm not using any tools at the moment. I'm just working it away with constant pressure. The only thing I'm going to use the screwdriver with is for the nubs that I can't get my fingers around, and bend them out of the way. Just be careful when you get to this point, because this is the point where things can break at this edge with the indicator, as I was saying before, but just don't force it, just work it out, work it away, and that's coming apart very, very easily now, and she's split. So I'm just gonna get rid of the perma there. I'll pop our lens over here, and I'll just run through what I was talking about before with the clamps. So as you can see, there's ridges. See if you can see, there's ridges along here where I've been priming with the screwdriver. I'm going to put, while it's warm, I'm going to put, actually I'm going to flip it around the other way, put these clamps on, just to keep the shape. Obviously I don't want the shape changing too much. The rest of the headlight looks pretty good. It was just these initial points. I might put another one here. Yeah, there's one here as well. So this will straighten it up, like so. So that's done. As for permaseal in the channel, there's actually barely any in the channel here. There's a bit in this part, but that's actually not really attached, so I can pull that out. I might need another clamp for this point where my screwdriver's hit, but so pop him there. Trying to get it to a point where it'll hold it down, but this won't fling off, which that's all I'm not doing. That's a good spot there. So right now I'm just going to move the base away to cool. We'll only need 5-10 minutes to cool. Right now we've got the permaseal pretty much caked on around the side of this lens. We're trying to get most of this off. If you don't, this is probably the most time consuming part. If you don't get most of it off, resealing them is going to be a big issue, because they're going to be hard to get back together. So normally with gloves on, I'm just trying to find some good spots. I'm going to get all that I can off with my fingers, which once you get a grip on it, it'll either come up or keep breaking. So I'm just gonna, this is actually cooling down pretty quickly now that it's apart, but all you want is not to yank on it, but just constant pressure, and it will come up. It will come up very, very slowly. I don't know whether you can see on the camera because of the lighting, but this is just the top bit of permaseal too. There's actually another bit on the inside of the headlight. So I'm applying a little bit of pressure now, but not yanking on it. Yanking on it, the permaseal breaks like that, and then you gotta get it off in about 10 pieces. But normally, as long as it's not caked on like this corner is, for this corner I'm probably going to put it back in the oven But that's pretty much it for, well, obviously the headlight split at the moment, so pretty much just checking the lens for any parts that got too hot and pushed it in, which looks pretty good. This will clean up nice. So the next part of this video will be disassembling the lens and everything that's on the lens and the rest of it in the housing, so taking the projector out and that. That'll be the next video. Video after that will be prepping and painting. After that, probably installing the projectors, as installing an I-beam projector, and also we're actually changing the lens out to a honeycomb etched lens for that. So what I'm going to do now is get the other one in the oven, get that one split as well, get that one all cooled and ready to go. I'll probably put this back in the oven to get most of this other glue off. Any glue that's poking itself up at me, I'll try and pull off by hand. I've probably left it too long now outside, it's cooled too much. Yeah, it does feel like it. So I'm going to put this lens back in the oven and peel all this permaseal off it, and then get the other one in the oven, and then that's pretty much it. So that'll probably do for part one. Just assume that I've got most of the permaseal off and the other one split, and then we'll go for part two. Whether I put part two in the same video or not depends how long the video is, but stay tuned for the next one. Thanks for watching.